What's up, family? Damien Jones podcast. Let's talk about Deion Sanders. Let's talk about Coach Prime, Deion Hall of Fame Sanders. One of my favorite, if not favorite, no, Tom Brady is my favorite NFL player, but Deion is probably number two. I mean, we all grew up, well, I can say we all, but I grew up playing in the front yard, playing middle school football, a little high school football. Everybody wanted to be like Deion, dress like Deion, get an interception like Deion, high step like Deion, dance like Deion, talk like Deion. You look good, you play good. You play good, you get paid good, XYZ, all those different things. There's no question he's a Hall of Famer as to what he did on the football field as a player. No question. 3 championships. Is it 3? 2 or 3 championships. No question about that. But he has now moved into the realm of coaching. He coached high school football in Texas for a few years, and he is now the head coach at my hometown HBCU, Jackson State University, the I love, one of the greatest universities on the earth. And he has brought much attention, much positive attention to the university in the last several months. People are excited. I know I'm excited about it. And he's come up with the moniker, I believe. We believe. And a lot of the anticipation went away. I don't say it didn't go away, but there was a football game. His first game as a collegiate head coach on yesterday. And his team was victorious over a college called Edward Waters College out of Florida. And they put a good whooping on them, and they won 53-0. Okay. But we're not talking about the game today. This conversation is not about the game. And that's the sad part. We're talking about the press conference. And the press conference that Deion gave yesterday, his first press conference after his first win, a resounding win. I was so proud of him. But his first win, his first press conference was, for lack of a better word, to say the least, to be as honest as possible, it was extremely tacky. And I think saying it was tacky is an understatement, in my view. And I'm going to let you hear the clip here in a second, and you'll understand, and we can have a conversation. You'll understand why I feel that particular way. Let me cue this up. So listen here. Here's Deion's comments. Here are Deion's comments after the press. So 53-0 win. He gets the game ball, and I'm like, let me find the presser. I want to hear what he has to say after his first win. Here's what Deion had to say in his first press conference ever as a collegiate head coach after winning 53-0.
God bless you. Appreciate you and everything. I'm pissed off right now because I have mixed emotions. We won. Kids played really well. While the game was going on, somebody came in and stole every darn thing I had in my locker room, in the coach's office. Yeah. Credit cards, wallet, watches. Thank God I had on my necklaces. How?
So there you go. I'm not going to play it all. His first press conference, he comes up and his first words were not, kids did a great job, this player played well, offensive line needs to get better. His words were something that had nothing to do with football. And this firestorm has created across the country now bad publicity on the university because Deion was tacky. was not informed and did something that I thought he would not do. So here, let me tell you why I say this. His press conference was tacky. Now, when Deion was hired, I told you how much I love Deion. But I've shared with many of my close friends and those in Jackson, Mississippi, and so forth and so on about my concerns about Deion. My concerns were never about his ability to coach. Never. He's assembled a great staff. My concerns were Deion got a lot going on. Deion has a podcast. Deion does appearances on different networks. Deion's working on a reality show. Deion got a lot going on that could distract him or take his focus away from the main thing, which is raising young men, building a culture at a great football a great tradition. Jack State was great before Deion ever stepped foot there. And so all these ancillary things are distracting him. I thought could distract him from being the best coach he could be. And so you see Deion on social media, that's great. The things he posts, that's great. But to me, that was a great, great, great concern. Now, as Deion talks about, somebody stole his things out of the locker room during the game. Now, let me say this. One, let's go back to a few weeks ago when someone allegedly stole a boombox out of his truck. Okay. He goes to social media and he asks the community to find it. He ends up finding it, so forth and so on. Right. And when that happened, I said to myself, I need Deion to focus on football. I don't need Deion talking about crime in the city. I don't need Deion talking about teenage pregnancy. I don't need Deion talking about different societal ills in the city as though he is the great eraser. I need Deion Sanders to focus on winning football games and getting these young men to graduate and getting these young men to play well on the football field. So he's distracted in my view. Okay. And so now this another situation comes up. They stole it from him again, but he makes it the headline of the press conference. So he was tacky because the press conference was tacky because you never start a conversation, a press conference, anything with a negative. I believe in the sandwich approach, which you sandwich positives. If you got to have a conversation with somebody, you start off with the positive. Hey, I really like what it is that you're doing with this team. You know, you're a great asset. However, I think we can get better with how you do X, Y, and Z. If we work together, I think we can improve that weakness that you have. But overall, I think you're doing a great job. I think you're a great asset to this team. And I'm so excited to have you with us. You see that sandwich approach we just did there? Deion didn't sandwich that interview. Deion went up there and his first words were negative. I'm pissed off because somebody stole something from me. Not the team, not the community, not the city, not the state, but it's all about Deion. That was my concern. It's all about Deion. How can Deion, I love his personality, but how can Deion get over himself and keep the focus on the main thing, which is this football program? And so I thought it was extremely tacky to even start off with a negative because now that's the headline. Nobody's talking about the 53-0 win. Nobody's talking about this great win for HBCU. Nobody's talking about their next opponent, Mississippi Valley State. They're talking about Deion's negative statement. He was also tacky because, quite frankly, Deion, you make my city look bad. You're making my city look bad. Now, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, a great place, but it's also a concrete jungle. Is there crime? Yes. Is there murders? Yes. Is there theft? Yes. Just like any other urban city where there are challenges with poverty. So this is no different. Deion came from Dallas. There was theft and murder and poverty in Dallas. He didn't solve it there. I don't know why he thinks he can solve it in Jackson, Mississippi. But when you come out and you keep making statements about theft in the city, and with the large brand that Deion has, now you're putting out a larger persona, a larger narrative that Jackson, Mississippi is full of crime and thieves and miscreants. The same city that you want to recruit young men and women to. Young men, I'm sorry, too. The same city that you say you want to help change. How now can you go into someone's living room and say, I want your kid to come with me to Jackson, Mississippi? They said, well, coach, well, how can I guarantee my son won't get robbed? They robbed you. So why won't they rob my son? I think we're going to go elsewhere, Coach Prime, because there seems to be a crime problem in Jackson, Mississippi. And we're only basing it based on your comments in your initial press conference, Deion. So I think he gives the city a black eye. This city that is excited about him gives them a black eye. But because Deion is all about Deion. Deion is only focused on Deion. Deion is only worried about Deion. The press conference was tacky. Then there becomes this back and forth between the university and Deion. So they said it was stolen. He come back and say it wasn't stolen, it was misplaced. There was something about his assistant moved the stuff, or his assistant saw the person stealing it but couldn't report it to the cops because there would be a kind of physical scuffle or what have you. Then the university said no, the things were just misplaced, it wasn't stolen. Then Deion goes to Twitter and disputes what the university says. And so now he becomes even more tacky because he's not focused on the main thing, which is football. Now he's on Twitter defending the factual account or lack thereof of this theft story, to the point now people are calling him Deion Smollett in the vein of Jussie Smollett in the lies that he told. I don't know if Deion is doing this for a reality show. If so, I think it's despicable and he ought to leave my city. If he's doing so with this tacky press conference that he did. I don't see Nick Saban on Twitter talking about who stole something from his office. I don't see Urban Meyer. I don't see Charlie Strong. I don't see give me a black coach. I don't want to keep saying white coaches. The black coach at Penn State, can't think his name right now, but I don't see him. I don't see the premier coaches in college football leading press conferences or on Twitter talking about what got stolen out of their locker rooms. That happens all the time. Are we going to report theft every time it happens in your locker room? Should security be held accountable? Absolutely. Lee Vance and the sheriff's department, are they culpable? Maybe. Campus PD, are they culpable? Maybe. Some heads need the roll, right? If this account is true. But he was very tacky. This also makes Deion, in my view, and this, again, I love Deion, but this makes him look unfocused, unprofessional, and quite frankly, selfish. There's a kid, I saw the second string quarterback on yesterday, number 8, came in and played tremendous. Nice arm, making big throws, getting teammates involved. The running game was great. The offensive line was great. The defensive line was great. That's what I wanted to hear at this press conference, football talk. But I didn't hear that because Deion wanted to talk about Deion. Deion needs some coaching mentors, in my view, because this is I know some of his sports analyst friends will take it easy on him, but I'm so disgusted with Deion yesterday and how he handled that. But at the end of the day, the press conference was tacky because ain't nobody talking about the kids. Everybody's talking about Deion, what Deion said, whether it was true. Did they steal? How did this happen again? Who's responsible? The kids are now distracted because they should be focused on their next opponent, Mississippi Valley State, which is an important game. But they'll be fielding questions all week because their pompous, unfocused, selfish coach, Coach Prime, did a tacky press conference in his first game after a great game because somebody stole some things out of his locker room. I'm sorry, coach. I don't care who's stealing from you. We didn't hire you to give us a report of theft. We hired you to build a program. We hired you to raise young men. We hired you to raise the standard. And you're not a police chief. You're not a police officer. You're not a legislator. You're a great man, great community leader. But you weren't brought to Jackson to rid the city of crime and to call folks out and to raise the standard of living in the city. Do your job, Deion. Focus on football. Get these young men ready for the NFL and stop doing tacky press conferences. Tell me what you think down in the comments. This is the Damien Jones podcast.